Hello, public opinion aficionados, and welcome to Rasmussen Reports, your trusted and independent source for all things election prediction. Now, what does independent mean? Well, it means a lot of things. First, we're actually a bipartisan team. Many people might not know that. We're not beholden to major corporate interests like shareholders or boards or advertisers, and we don't take money from any of the political parties. In fact, most of our money comes from subscription and advertising revenue. So, what does that mean for you? Well, it means that we're just trying to be accurate. And so, you should trust the results that we're about to show you. And let me tell you, these are some pretty surprising results. I think many people would look back at the events of the last 2 or 3 weeks and say that, wow, Trump is running away with the race. But if anything, the race is tightened. Before I get into it, I also want to thank our sponsor, the Heartland Institute, for putting us into the field in this major mega swing state poll, the first of its kind that we've done. But today we're going to be talking in this video about the national numbers. Make sure you follow us on YouTube and Twitter at Rasmussen_poll if you want to see the other releases as they come out. But because it's sponsored, what that means for you is that you can go to our site at rasmussenreports.com and go check the story out yourself and even download the crosstabs and follow along. This is a survey conducted July 5th through the 12th. And yes, you're right. That means that I was crunching these numbers the day that somebody shot at Donald Trump. It's a survey of 2,500 basically U.S. likely voters, which means the margin of error is around 2%. This is a larger poll than most of the national results we've released. And we also have, again, coming over 6,000 result mega swing state poll. But I wanted to note quick also that we balanced this poll for respondents' 2020 vote, which is something we sometimes do. In my opinion, there's pluses and minuses of that, but one of the things it definitely does is make sure that we're not oversampling, MAGA Republicans or conservative independents. So I think there's a lot of reasons to like the results of this poll. And just getting into it, when looking at issues, 27% of likely voters across the country say that the economy is the number one issue. Border security is number two at 20%. And as a result, a combined total of 47% of voters, their main issues are ones that do not play well for Biden. Now, abortion takes third place, but it's only 10%. Climate change and abortion together, 19%. If you take the ones that could be conceivably construed as more conservative, we have 67%, 2/3, 2 out of 3 U.S. likely voters care most about issues that could be perceived to help Trump. Men and women are kind of similar. Women care a lot less about the border, 5 points less than men, and they care 6 points more about abortion, but only 13% of women care most about abortion. Believe it or not, 18 to 39-year-olds don't care most about abortion either. For them, it's overwhelmingly the economy, 30% more than voters of other ages. Only 13% of young voters also care most about climate change. That's a pretty surprising result to me. Let's skip ahead to the party results. The number one for Democrats is actually the economy. Abortion is second, but only at 18%. And for Democrats, climate change only takes 13%. That's pretty crazy. And, gung-ho Ukraine people here, it's only 6% global conflicts and war. This is a first. Republicans care most about border security here, 34%, 29% the economy. Add that up and you get 64%. That's a really big number. And economy is first for independents, 32%, 18% of them care about border security. Only 7% of independents right now care about abortion. And that is actually quite a bit lower than I've seen in our previous polling. Here we asked, how likely are you to vote in the 2024 general election? I mean, this is really just in here for a demographic result, but 92% of voters say they're at least somewhat likely. 82% say very likely, and more Democrats than anyone else say very likely. A total of 95% of them say at least somewhat likely, compared to 92% for Republicans, 89% for independents. So Democrats are more enthused right now. And that fits the trend we've seen for Democrats. They basically circled the wagon after that terrible debate performance. But here's what you're here for. If the 2024 presidential election were held today and the candidates were President Joe Biden, former President Donald Trump, who would you vote for? This is the two-way matchup. And right now, Trump in this poll is winning by just 3, which is the lowest result that we've seen since our polling last fall. Now, what does that represent? I mean, Trump was up just 10 points a month or two ago. Is that a stunning collapse? Well, we'll look at the demographics, but I don't think so. Men, Trump is winning men by 10 points. Trump is losing women by 4 points, and that's new because he was closer to parity not that long ago. Trump's now down 4 among 18 to 39-year-olds, which is also new, but what it's coming from is actually a pickup for Biden among those people. White voters, Trump's winning by 8. And for the black results, Trump's getting 26% of the vote. Biden is getting much more, 65%. This is one of the lower Trump readings we've had. We've had this as high as, believe it or not, low 40s. I think the average would probably be somewhere in the low 30s. And because of the way this poll is balanced, I think these are probably the most accurate results we've seen. But also that means that Trump's winning by 4 points among Hispanic voters, which is also pretty historic. Democrats give Biden 81% of the vote, Trump 13%, and Trump is only getting 79% of the Republican vote right now, Biden 17%. Now, it could be that this is just a more left or leaning sample than our other ones, but I will say that in other polling, we've seen a resurgence of support for Democrats. This number was actually here. This number was in the high 60s, I think, in one of the polls, and has mostly been in the low 70s. So Democrats are almost double digits more supporting Biden than they were a few weeks ago. But here is the tough one for Joe Biden. He is now losing independents by 19 points. That's one of the biggest leads we've had for Trump in all of our polling this year. Now, remember, Biden's the top line here, but let's go out to how likely are you to vote in the general election? Among people very likely to vote, Donald Trump is winning by 3 points. He's also winning by 2 points among those who are somewhat likely to vote. Trump's still winning here. Biden is winning among people who are not sure or not at all likely to vote. Interesting. Okay, here's the 6-way, and Trump is now leading by 5 points here. So just the very act of adding the name Kennedy into the question automatically hurts Biden, even though many people in the previous question knew that Kennedy's running and intended to vote for him. That's, the 6% other result. But that is a pretty big and comfortable lead and pretty much in line with, the low end of our other polling. Kennedy takes 8, which is, I think, a point or two higher than we hit him last time. None of the third parties get over 2 points, although I think the combined total of 5 points for a third-party voter here is on the high end. But really the big change here is that before, among Democrats, Biden was doing better quite a bit than he is here now. You can see Republicans, Trump only loses 3 points of support, but among Democrats, Biden loses 7. That's a pretty big effect, and Trump is still leading by 18 points among independents. We'll get to Biden favorability quick. This is a combined total of 44 points. That's right in line with where we have it nationally in our other polling. I think it was 43 points today. But Trump continues to be the highest favorability politician of anyone we poll, 51% here. That's just stunning. And believe it or not, his very unfavorable number is now below Joe Biden's, 40% to 43%. I don't know when that changed, but Trump has simultaneously been the most favorable and most very unfavorable politician for a really long time. Biden's got a 20% among Republicans. Trump has a 22% among Democrats. Biden has a 76% among Democrats, and Trump has 79% among Republicans. So it must be coming from the independents mainly, and that 34% for Biden among independents. And look at this, 53 points. A majority of independents have a favorable impression of Donald Trump. This is the generic ballot. Last time we ran it, it was 5 points. Republicans are now leading by 4 points in the generic ballot, which basically just means, congressional elections. Republicans are doing way better among men, losing by 5 among women, tied among 18 to 39-year-olds, doing better with older voters, doing pretty bad among black voters, but winning by 10 points among Hispanics. That's interesting. Republicans actually do better among Hispanic voters than Trump does. Democrats are giving more of their vote to Democrats than Republicans are for Republicans, but Republicans are winning by 19 points among independents. I really don't think Biden can win with his independent numbers like this. But now we're going to get into some tangential topics, or maybe they're not that tangential, but if you've been following us, one of our favorite topics is election integrity. How concerned are you that cheating will affect the outcome of the 2024 election? And a combined total of 63% of the electorate are at least somewhat concerned. 37% are very concerned, and only 15% are not at all concerned. This is an absolutely stunning rebuke of our electoral process, showing that voters have absolutely no faith. Look, it even says in the question, we're not just talking about, there is some cheating. This cheating will affect the outcome of the upcoming election. 2020 had some major consequences. Now, let's just look out at the political numbers. 51% of Democrats now are at least somewhat concerned. Now, this 63% number is higher than we've seen. I think the highest, though, is 66%. And most of that pickup has come from Democrats catching up to everyone else. This number before has been in the 30s to 40s. It's now 51%. So a majority of Democrats are now concerned the outcome is going to be affected by cheating. I think, a cynical take is they're concerned that Biden can't win. And now they're coming to terms with that subconsciously. But 78% of Republicans are afraid of cheating in this election. 48% very concerned, really big number. And independents, it's even 60% of them, with 37% being very concerned and only 12% of independents not at all concerned. But here's where it gets interesting. In the 2020 election, did you personally receive more than one official ballot in the mail, or receive a ballot for someone who does not live at your address? Now, apologies, YouTube. We're not implying anything. We're not saying that anybody illegally voted with those superfluous ballots, but 18% of the electorate says in 2020 they received a superfluous ballot. Only 74% said no. And what's crazy is if you look at the crosstabs, pretty much everybody said that they had extra ballots. 18 to 39-year-olds were most likely to say it. 30% of 18 to 39-year-olds in this country got at least one additional ballot. That is insane. 29% of Hispanic voters. And I will tell you, the signal is actually a little bit bigger in the swing states. Now, this is, that 2020 question too. But wait, there's more. This is not the only thing different and new that we asked. Let me just freeze panes here and travel out to the right in the demographics. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. Go download these demographics. We got ideology, education. This is new. Where do you live? We normally don't have that in our typical national polling. Who did you vote for? U.S. citizen. That's crazy. A combined total of 94% of U.S. citizens said they voted for Donald Trump or Joe Biden in the 2020 election. But what's this? A combined total of 91% of people who said they weren't U.S. citizens also voted. Look, you add Another candidate, 97% say they voted for somebody. These people say they're not citizens. And 79% of people who weren't sure whether they were US citizens also said they voted for somebody. Now, I can tell you that is stunning and incredible. And you say, all right, well, maybe there were only 3 of them and this is just noise. But let's go all the way to the top. Out of a sample of 2,466 US likely voters, a combined total of 222 of them said they were not citizens or not sure. That's roughly 10%. So I think it's 9%. Like, that is a statistically significant and major portion of the people who tell us that they are US likely voters. That is incredible. I mean, you can't dismiss it. I mean, I'm sure intellectually dishonest people could dismiss it. They'll say, well, people just make mistakes in polls, but it's a very simple question. Are you a US citizen? Yes, no. And it's like 10% of the people that answered our poll said that. And you can say, oh, well, Rasmussen uses touch tone IVR, and we do, but the online people also said it. The only takeaway here is that a significant portion of the people who were statistically targeted to be likely voters in elections and screened for such say they vote as non-citizens. So go ahead, actually, this will be fun. Post in the comments the way that you think intellectually dishonest people will attempt to dismiss these results. And of course, the only right way to dismiss them is go fund a poll yourself and try to prove us wrong. But somehow, I don't think that that's going to happen. I hope you enjoyed our video. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Rasmussen_poll. I'm there as well at Mark_R_Mitchell. Like the video on YouTube and please subscribe if you haven't already. It's free and it really helps more people see this, as you can agree, extremely important information. Thanks for watching.